Financial disclaimer. The information provided in this stream is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered as professional financial or investment advice. We are not licensed financial advisors, and the content presented here is based on our personal opinions and experiences. Investing in stocks and other financial instruments involves risk, including the potential loss of capital. Any investment decisions you make are solely your own responsibility, and you should conduct your own research and consult with a qualified financial professional before making any investment choices. The content we share on this stream may not be accurate, complete, or up to date. Market conditions and financial regulations can change rapidly, and we cannot guarantee the accuracy or reliability of the information presented. We do not endorse or promote any specific stocks, companies, or investment strategies. Any actions you take based on the content of this stream are at your own risk, and we will not be held liable for any losses or damages that may occur as a result. Always remember that past performance is not indicative of future results, and no investment is guaranteed to be profitable. Make informed decisions and consider your risk tolerance before investing any funds. By accessing and using this stream, you acknowledge and agree that we are not responsible for any investment decisions you make as a result of the content presented. You are encouraged to seek advice from qualified financial professionals for personalized guidance. Please invest responsibly, and only with money you can afford to lose.
Hey man, just found the next guaranteed multi-bagger.
Hey man, you found another one? What is it this time?
Come check this out.
Okay, next please. How can I help you, young man?
We want to go all in on ME. The test showed that I'm 0.06% elephant, and we need to save the company right now to get some answers.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that checked and it's gone.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Laughing Stock. How are you today, Dane?
Good, you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's a little bit of a chaotic morning here, but we are live and moving now. I think for me personally, I've been a bit off because I've spent some time changing brokers, and it's been a pain because it takes so long time to just fix everything, and now I need to get familiarize myself with a new platform, and I needed to subscribe and find like real-time data and stuff like that. It's just been a little bit of pain because of the limited time I have during my day. So it's been a bit slow, but that has resulted in me being off a little bit for the last couple of weeks actually. But I'm back and ready now. Spent the time also improving my charts a little bit, and I've actually created a whole universe of lists now in TradingView. So I have everything inside TradingView, which I'm very keen and look forward to start to use for my research. I can speak a little bit about it when we go through today. But yeah, I've spent some time just fixing and adjusting some things and make, I made some new scripts and stuff like that. So even if I've been waiting for my funds to arrive and stuff like that, I've at least spent the time doing some productive things, hopefully moving forward. How have you been? We didn't stream last weekend.
Yeah, just busy. I've been doing some traveling, but now that, well, I'm still traveling actually right now, but either way, the first part of last week got murdered. Just bad timing with stuff. Let's say like I pick 5 names, like 2 of them would have been my normal stop loss that would have been reached, and the other 3 I just get stopped out, and then they come back, and those would be the ones that would kind of save me. So just kind of bad luck in that. And then the last 2 days of the week were actually really good. I regained some of it. I was down 4% for the week though, so that's my worst week this year so far.
Yeah.
But overall, it still leaves me around up 20% for the year.
Yeah.
So it's not ideal, obviously. And I had a lot of lessons, kind of like, and not the same as you, but I had posted on there that I had to switch all my screeners over. So I was in a new look on stock charts, and because I'm using stock charts now as my screener, I'm just getting used to it, and I keep kind of editing the way the screeners work, just like adjusting things to try and hone in on what I'm picking and what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Which I think it will work out and it'll be good in the long run. But I think those first 2 days, because of the switch, it's just hard, and I'm just trying to get used to it. So
Yeah.
that probably didn't help. And also, I had pushed my stop loss up to 5%, thinking it would help to keep me in names, and quickly remembered the reason I don't do that is because even the 5% for me, I can get murdered. Which I don't know. Maybe in the long run, if I stuck with that, it would work out, because then there'd be other weeks where the 5% would keep me in names, and I would end up, getting a bunch. It would just be more volatile. Like some weeks, it's not normal, or it's not unnormal to be down like 5% or something like that. Where other weeks, it's not unnormal to be up 10%. So
Yeah.
you would just see more volatility by doing it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see. I always keep playing with things and just trying to look at all my averages to figure out what is working and not. But I'm in 12 different names right now, and I think five of those, I don't know, 4 or 5 of them is from the end of last week. So those are names that I'm still full positions, but the rest of them are all ones I've already trimmed before. So I'm hoping, that the ones that I've already trimmed continue to just keep rising up, because they all had great days, Thursday and Friday. Well, I should say all of them, but one or two. But either way, they're kind of picking up the backside of the strategy, which at the end of last year, when I was doing pretty well, I was not holding till the 10-day moving average, but I kind of wanted to include that. Like I said, as the whole markets are moving up, I think you can catch some like longer moves, since I don't think we're at a peak right now. I don't know, because now the possible tariff stuff's
Yeah.
coming back out, and
Back.
who knows. But same thing as before, these could come out and get postponed again, or who knows what. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's taking it necessarily as serious as they did the first time.
Oh, and we just have to wait and see how that affects the market. But what we saw earlier, you got that initial. It's a big and drastic move down, but it's like a V shape. It went up a lot again. Maybe the market is a bit more used to the uncertainty that brings with it now. But I don't know what kind of percentages he's gonna operate with and stuff like that. So maybe some countries comes quickly now and they have arranged some deals. We just have to wait and see again. But those things are coming up in the next week or so. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff coming up, so we'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
But all right, so how's the new broker working?
Oh yeah, it's I haven't I have actually not done any trades, but I've had to set up. They have an online platform and also like a software you can download, a trader working station or something like that. And I've just spent some time now setting up everything correctly, and that I know that what I'm looking at and stuff like that. They've actually used charts from TradingView in the platform, so at first glance and what I know and understand from it now, it looks solid. And the big thing for me is, of course, less fees. They have less commission fees. There's no exchange rate fee, which just ate me up on the last broken, and I was dealing with them a lot, and there was no option for people in my category. So the move had to happen, and just maybe it was a bit bad timing that it happened now in such a good period. But I'm looking forward to start using everything now, I have to say. And hopefully I will experience that there's no hidden fees or something that I'm not aware of right now. I've heard a lot of good things. I know Kulamagis used the same one, Interactive Brokers. So the downside for me is, of course, I have to tax yearly. So I have to just put a certain amount and save it for the actual tax. But
Gotcha.
that's just how it is. That's the option I have. So I thought I should try it, and yeah, let's see. I think it will be good though.
Yeah, I mean, I still just use Fidelity in the States, but And I'm sure there's better ones to probably use, even especially even for trading. But I don't know. I've gotten used to them now, and I'm used to just how they execute and um yeah. And then on top of it too, you saying that like you missed out, yeah. And same thing. I mean, the one thing I'll say is even though I didn't do great um swing trading this week per se, but my other portfolios were all up, so they've all caught in the rise in the rest of
Yeah,
it. So
yeah,
I guess that's part of the reason I like to keep this as a separate fund from the rest of my stuff. So if the market moves and what I'm doing is a totally different thing than the rest of the market, then um that works.
yeah, yeah. When we go through things today, I can go through some of the lists and stuff, but you're not going to see me talk about something I've purchased because there is zero. I am not purchased anything. It took like a week for me to close the account, transfer the funds to my bank, and then transfer from the bank to this other account. And then it took a few days to just get approved and everything. So it's just been a slow. It's just a pain, but now it's done. You know,
Yeah, I mean it's just one of those things you just got to do.
yeah.
I was helping my wife transfer like stuff over from one account to another, and it takes forever, and it's all a pain. So I know what you're saying.
Yeah. So it was a bit frustrating when I saw things on the chart, and I was tempted to buy, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna take the money now because I need to just do this. And then also part of the reason that I just logged off a little bit was to not, you know, beat myself up for missing out on stuff I saw. But I'm gonna try to catch up and look at more charts moving forward, and I'm sure I get quickly back into this. You said to me that there's a lot of the same names, and that's kind of what I've seen as well. And I'm actually also I think I posted in Discord. I've started to use Finviz for some of the screenings now because they have a group function. I wasn't aware. You can select the performance. They've already grouped together heaps of stocks. I think they have 144 groups that I have kind of copied into TradingView. And
Nice.
then you can sort them by performance from day performance, like week, month, quarter, half a year, and year to date, and then 1 year. So I'm just going to use that moving forward. I think I thought it was a great place to just kind of do what my spreadsheets did a little bit. I think my spreadsheet, the score sheet, is a little bit more narrowed down. Like the stocks in my spreadsheets are having the name of the category as a core business. And I think in Finviz you will find companies that are dealing in that group, but they also deal in other things. So I think in my sheet is a bit more narrowed down than I get with Finviz. But again, with the time I have and all that stuff, I just want to be as efficient as I can. And now that I've created these groups, it will be very quick for me to just get an overview and go through the tickers in those groups instead of spending half an hour to update my sheet every day after the closing hours.
Yeah, it's no, I know. Even with my market strength one, like I have it. I think it doesn't even take me 10 minutes. It's pretty quick, and that's like the only thing I can kind of stand. Like if
Yeah,
it's any more than that, I don't have time.
no, exactly.
And same thing. Even like when we were doing like full on deep value at all times, like it's just everything is so time consuming to update and the manual. There's manual parts to everything, so it's like
The spreadsheets are awesome, but it does take time and stuff breaks and you have to fix it. And just like a small fix like that can take days,
right.
sometimes weeks. And also with the time difference, when the market closes here, it's 10 o'clock, and I should go to bed some of the days quickly after, because I wake up early. And then I just have to update and spend 45 minutes extra to do that. So when I saw those groups in Finviz, I thought that was a better option for me. So I think I wrote in the Discord that I'm probably going to stop posting the updates from the sheet and just use the groups in when we stream, so people can see what I'm also seeing, you know.
Yeah. You have just the basic version of FinViz, or do you pay for it, or?
I actually paid for the elite version too, but you don't have to. I just did it to be able. This is the thing though, because I didn't know this. I started to do it manually, and then I did 1,000 tickers and manually, and then TradingView told me I need to create another list because the maximum is 1,000 tickers in one list. And then it started to get tricky because if I wanted to sort them alphabetically and stuff like that, I can't move one group from one list over to another group. So when I understood that, I just needed to be a bit more quick. So I needed the export function from FinViz, and that you have to pay for. So I just paid for 1 month to be able to export all the lists into a Excel sheet. Which I then copied all the tickers into ChatGPT and asked him to just take out the tickers for me, and then I created a list I can upload in TradingView. So it was a bit painful, the process, but I actually paid for 1 month. But you don't need to, but you just need to do everything manually. It just takes longer time.
Right.
I'm going to cancel the subscription. I don't think it's worth it.
It just depends on what you use it for. I use FinViz, here and there to screen and stuff like that. Honestly, sometimes I like to just compare it to other screeners. I kind of, because their free version is actually pretty good.
Yeah,
but
it is.
To really be able to specifically screen, it doesn't let you unless you pay. So
yeah.
No, but yeah, sorry, what were you saying?
No, I'm gonna cancel that subscription. I don't need it.
Gotcha. But yeah, I'm just pulling up my list of different stuff I'm in right now.
Yeah.
And just kind of looking for typical breakouts. And you'll see some of the names that I'm still in. Like right now I'm in ABBRF is one.
Silver or?
It's Abra Plata Resource Corp.
Yeah, are they are dealing with silver or?
Not even sure. No clue.
Okay.
Full on swing trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, on I bought them on that large candle on
30 of June.
What was it? Monday? Must have been Monday. I'm just
Monday.
trying to remember because I know it was a short week.
Yeah.
And it's just been kind of trickling up. I mean, it was down a little bit. So this one's already been, half cut, but
yeah, because you started
and obviously,
to do that.
I mean, this is late in this rise, but still thought I could get in there.
Yeah. But you talked about it a little bit earlier, like you sell half the position after 3 days now, or how are you doing this?
It's usually 3 or day 4. Sometimes if day 3 is like a pullback, but to me everything looks good, I'll hold it till the 4th day to see if I can recover some of that, which I'm sure it will work and not work at times. So I'll probably try and decide at some point to finalize that in my head. But I don't know. Sometimes there's nuance to things, and like let's say on day 3 the whole market's down, and I think the chart looks good. That might mean to me like that's a bad day, and like I don't want to sell on a day that just everything's down. It doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So there's nuance to it, but usually day 3 or 4, and then I'm gonna try and hold through until it taps the 10-day or like breaks through the 10-day moving average. Another one is adaptive biotech, so ADPT.
Yeah.
This is a good example of I bought this on that big candle last week. I think it was Thursday, it looks like.
Wednesday, probably.
Or Wednesday, wherever the big candle is there, and sold on day 3 there right before it dropped. And like this is one of the ones that like I go back and forth because this is like where we see how the strategy works, because you'll see this dropped right down and touched the 10-day moving average, which it didn't break through. It held right on it.
Yeah.
And now it's starting to kind of recover. So we'll see if it's worth, continuing to hold this for a longer time period.
Yeah. What do you think about that selling volume though on Friday?
Yeah, obviously it's something to watch for, but
Yeah, because that was pretty hectic.
yeah, but like at the same time too, you'd be surprised. Like I see those kind of candles, and then like the next day it pops, like because it's like
Yeah,
that's a huge group of people getting out, like that's kind of formed a form of resistance there, and obviously the buyers are buying there still. Like
yeah,
someone's got to buy that when someone sells it.
yeah,
So if the price doesn't really crash and it looks like there's a large amount of volume, um, to me that means that like it's probably a bullish sign. Not
yeah,
always, but I would take that as a bullish sign. And same thing, like there's days where I see a ton of buying volume, but I don't see like the chart really move up. And I kind of take that as almost a warning,
yeah,
because it means someone's getting out of their position there, and it's not to say that someone didn't come right in and swoop it up or there's enough retail to kind of keep it up, but sometimes that, starts to signal that we're in the beginning of a downtrend. So
yeah. Quite a move though, since 1 year ago. This stock almost up, 400%.
yeah, and I mean, as always, you and I are, you were talking about like how you're looking at different sectors and stuff and looking for the strong stocks. Like
Yeah,
that's something I'm always focused on. Like
yeah,
I'm not really looking at stocks that aren't already showing pretty good strength. I mean,
yeah,
there may be some small exceptions to that rule, but normally, I mean, you're seeing me look for stuff that's just, constantly above all the moving averages. They're all in the right order.
yeah,
Um, they just show strong accumulation. Next is Ampex, AMPX.
yeah.
Um,
They've been on my
just on
list for a long time.
Yeah, just looked on Friday. Like it looked to me like there was kind of a little box that formed there around like I don't know 370 to like 430. So
Yeah,
as it broke out of that section there, I got in that. So I mean, just typical swing trades.
yeah,
Arlo, I thought Arlo looked like it was just starting to break out. It may have been a little early on in that. It's ARLO.
yeah. You got in
Um
on Friday, or I
yes, I
mean,
just got in on Friday because it looked like I mean obviously the candle pulled back a little bit, but um so I'm down like I don't know, not much, like maybe 0.5% or something.
yeah,
But um to me it looks like that's formed like a good range. The 20-day had just caught up, so I
yeah,
kind of like that candle. And it started low and went up during most of the day.
yeah. No, that looks good.
Yeah. So and it's very similar if you look to the last time it popped. It's like almost the
Yeah,
exact
very similar.
same setup. So
Yeah,
it's not quite as tight as the last candle section was.
no,
Um
and I think it will be
but
a key for this if this breaks out here. Uh, it's gonna take out this spike it had in July 2024 as well. So then
yeah,
it
we'll see.
moves
I don't
into,
know how high it can go, but it
yeah,
looks good to me.
exactly. It's
Um
gonna it's gonna probably have a little bit of a move if it breaks out on proper volume here, I think.
so yeah, I'll just keep going through my name since I know you said you hadn't been taking
Yeah,
anything.
just
I got
keep
in
going.
BJRI, BJ's restaurant, which I actually like. BJ's. I feel like that's a good. Their restaurants do pretty well. Every time I go
Yeah,
in there, that place is packed. I've only
and
been a few times, but it's packed.
I I know that this is a group that has performed very good in the last period as well. So there's a lot of restaurant tickers that are looking good, I think.
Yeah, and so this one had a little bit of a pullback yesterday, but still in it. Um, and it same thing. It looks like it's kind of breaking out of that range. Like it keeps each one of these peaks showing higher highs, low and higher lows.
Yeah,
So I think that looks like it has room to go. And even though I mean it sold off a little bit on Friday, like if you look at the volume, it's pretty low. Wasn't anything impressive.
yeah. I think the market was closed yesterday, right? So we are talking about Thursday, just to
Oh yeah,
be,
yeah, yeah.
just to
What
be
I'm
correct,
saying.
because I saw on the candle it said Thursday. I had to think. And by the way, happy 4th of July to everyone who celebrates 4th of July.
Yeah.
I wrote it in the description, but I know it's a big thing. Of course, it's a big thing, but is the whole country behind that celebration, Dane? Or
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of nutty because as soon as it gets dark, I mean, I'm in Buffalo right now, but I mean, there's just fireworks everywhere.
yeah,
Like we actually have to like put our dogs inside and
oh
try
yeah,
and comfort them because they get nervous. But
yeah,
yeah, and everybody, luckily too, the weather was great here. I hope everybody had good weather. I know that's tough to ask for all across the whole country, but yeah, it was good weather here at least. And everybody just kind of hangs out with family and friends and whatnot. And
yeah.
usually, we try and do the American thing. We're outside grilling, just enjoying the day. A lot
Yeah,
of lot of people in pools.
sounds good.
So it's always I mean it's like in terms of weather, it's usually one of the better times of the year. So it's always a good holiday for that reason.
Yeah, yeah, that's great.
And celebrate what it means to be American.
Yeah. It,
One
so
that's worked out for me so far is PRM.
PRM.
Yeah, Perimeter Solutions.
Oh yeah, that looks like you were in on Wednesday, I assume.
Yeah, Wednesday. So
Yeah,
that one's been a success. The only thing that was making me slightly hesitant on this one was the market cap getting up into 2.26
yeah,
billion right now,
yeah,
which at the time it wasn't that high. But it's the same thing. I don't have necessarily a great ADR tracker on stock charts,
yeah.
so I don't always necessarily pay attention to ADR like I know Paul Maggi does and all that. But um, I feel like you can use market cap. You can kind of get an idea. Like if I look at something and it's like a $70 million market cap,
Gonna
that
be
can move.
slow. Yeah.
That
So
well, like it's a low market cap. Like if it doesn't take a lot of money to come in and move that thing.
yeah,
You start to get into the billions, like you need a lot of buying support.
yeah. My ADR here says 3%, which is kind of your point. You could probably tell by looking at the, when you get into 10 billion market cap, you will see like below 3 in ADR most of the times, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just is what it is. Like stuff.
But still, though, I've been thinking about this a lot because you hear Kulamagi, he says like everything on the 4 ADR is shit, don't touch it. And I understand a point, like he wants to accelerate and put his money where it's most efficient to get a gain and all that stuff. But at the same time, you can find maybe a little bit more secure places for maybe a little bit of a longer holding period, and just size accordingly and put your stop accordingly, and maybe just stick with it for some time, because you see some of these gigantic companies, they still can move 10 to 20% in a fairly short amount of time, even if the ADR is low.
Yeah, and like I said, this, how high does this thing run? I don't know. Can it really push much past here? Maybe not. But yeah, in terms of swing trading, once you get this high, yeah, you might be holding this and not really get much of a return. So I don't know. Like I said, the setup just looked okay to me. It wasn't
Yeah.
it wasn't a great setup, but when it gapped up, I got in at a decent amount, and it had broken previous highs, so it had
You know
just
the
enough for
news?
me.
Did you see
Uh,
the
I,
what was the news on it?
I'm honestly, I do not remember.
No, I'm trying to find it, but I can't really. Perimeter Solution opens fire. I there's a word here, Dane, that I refuse to say because I'm gonna mess it up. Anyways, it seems like they have opened a new facility or something.
Hang on, I'm trying to load here, but yeah, I got a million things running. I'm just on my laptop too.
Yeah,
Retardant? Is that what
yeah,
you're worried to say?
yes,
Yeah, I mean, it just retardant just means that like it's something that will stop, like it can't catch fire.
Okay.
Something that's flame retardant means it prevents fire.
Yeah, I would not have said it like you said it, so that's why. Language is hard sometimes.
Yeah, actually, I like to hear sometimes. So yeah, listen to you pronounce stuff just because it's
There's a
trust me.
guy. There's a guy that was involved in the Trump campaign. I think his name is I don't know how you say it in USA, but his name is like Pulte or something. Pulte.
Okay.
And that name, that word means something very different in my language than just a name. So you get some of those funny incidents sometimes, you know.
Yeah, no, the difference is languages, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes it brings out the kid in you.
Yeah, for sure. Right.
One that I'm still holding and I've been in for a while and I'm hoping it can push past here. It hasn't broken below the 10-day is QNCCF. I bought that one last week and caught some of that
Yeah.
first move and it pulled back. Um and actually this one was one of the ones I bought when it was like I kind of cheated and got in early. So I'm still up like 20% on this name.
You got in on Wednesday or,
Somewhere
or
in
or what?
no, on like the I don't know. Let me click on this and just look at what the actual thing says.
25th of June.
No, the 24th or the 23rd. Like before it even had
Okay.
broken out, I took this one.
Okay.
Um, so I'm up a good amount on it right now.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
now like I'm just holding it to see if I can, you know, if it can push higher off the 10-day.
Yeah. I did see those other ones, QBTS and QUBT. They pulled back a little bit because they were starting to fall a little bit, all of them, right? But they quickly rebounded up here. But I'm not sure. What was the ticker again, Dane? On the one you just said?
It's QNCCF.
I'm not sure. You know, if you're gonna put like some fundamental things behind your you know, your decisions also, that these companies, they are not exactly making a lot of money right now, but it's all for the future. And I don't know, do you care about that in some groups like this, as long as they have momentum?
Yeah, well, and that's the thing with swing trading is like you have to accept that like some of these names, like you can put you know, remember how we used to joke around, you put AI in your name, you're gonna take
Yeah,
off. Like it's the same thing with right now you could be called, you know, quantum laundry
yeah.
and you know, you take off. So it doesn't really matter. It's just one of
It's
those
just
things that like
when you have momentum, you just want to be in it.
yeah, and even if you're super bullish, you know, quantum, sure, if you want to hold these things for, you know, 15 years, you might be able to catch the winner, but who knows which one of these companies is actually going to make it out and do well with actual quantum computers when they become a thing. Who knows
Yeah,
what that market's going to even look like? I'm not saying it's not going to be a big market. I do think it will be, but we don't know. We don't know if this. I mean, you know, I'm looking at like what was that company's market cap? I mean, that one's only 250 million, but you know, you
yeah,
look at like Qubit and some of these other ones, and they're, you know, billions of dollars, and like it's not even necessarily business yet.
yeah. No, they they really don't make a lot of money, you know.
That's what I'm saying. So like
Yeah,
it's all just like this, you know, expectation that there could be massive growth in the future, and like everyone's so apt to like want to spend money on that. So
yeah,
I get it. Don't get me wrong. I understand the growth potential there, but
yeah.
um
And maybe
it's
especially now with what we have gone through with the just, you know, pure AI and how that, because you know these technologies has been researched for many years. I think quantum, they have done research on trying to develop something for more than 40 years, right?
yeah.
And then all of a sudden, it seems like it's overnight, but then ChatGPT came and it just took off, you know.
Right.
And maybe when we have been through a period and seen what that can do, people want to be on the next one, which seems to be quantum right now. Even if they don't make money, there's a lot of money being put into. I think didn't QUBT or one of them made like a private offering recently.
Yeah, someone I think it was Qubit, I think was also
Yeah.
talking about possible dilution. So
Yeah,
it dropped pretty hard the one day.
yeah,
But yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, these companies need financing. There's a ton of research, I'm sure, that has to get spent on. Um and just to your point too, like when you're doing this kind of stuff, like yeah, I mean you can sit here and you can look at fundamentals or predict growth, and like if you know the different strategies, you know why different people are in this. But when you're swing trading, from a technical standpoint, I really think you should be really focusing on where the supply and demand lands.
yeah,
you know it's the same reason why I think, like, if you wanted to day trade, there's a lot of people who say the only thing they use is VWAP, and really the reason is because you know where the volume is, and you know what the average price of that volume is, so you have an idea. Like if you're way above VWAP, like there's a lot of people probably look below you looking to sell. If
yeah.
you're way under it, well, that doesn't necessarily mean a bullish thing if you're way under it, but you get my point.
Mm.
So it's good to know in general where the markets are at, where that money's came in at, so you have an idea of what kind of price range people are holding from.
Yeah.
And then that's why these chart patterns work. You're watching where you see a lot of buying and selling going on, and nothing's really happening, but one of the sides is drying up. There's either people are slowly accumulating or they're slowly distributing. And if you're able to keep a good measurement on that kind of thing, um, you can really see something take off. One thing I wish, I know TradingView has it, but Stock Charts does not, is anchored VWAP. Because if I could use anchored VWAP, I would be using it on all my stock charts.
Yeah.
So
Can you make your own scripts in stock charts,
what do you mean by scripts?
like to create your own indicators and stuff like that?
I don't think I can create indicators. I think the only script work that you can do for this is for screening. There's like an advanced
Okay.
screener system that you can build. So like you
Yeah.
can really, it's not like FinViz where you select like certain things. It's like straight coding where you can just, as long as you know how to type to it, you can kind of put whatever you want to screen for, which the screening system's great. But yeah, in terms of indicators, it has like everything you can think of for the ones that are already predetermined. But in terms of being able to kind of make your own up on the fly, it does not have that. So
Okay. Yeah.
that's something that TradingView definitely has superior.
Yeah, I've done some through, I got a lot of help through ChatGPT, and it does work. I'm testing them versus other scripts, and
Mhm.
it is accurate. So yeah, you can make some, maybe a bit more flexibility with those kind of things in TradingView.
Yeah, I contemplate, always sticking with stock charts, but at this point I have so much built into it that like
Yeah, that's the
and
thing.
I do like stock charts. I do like
Yeah,
stock charts. And once again, on top of that, it's my eyes are used to, using it and
yeah.
everything. So if I switch off, then it's a whole different problem I have to deal with.
I think
But
even if you do make a switch, you will find positive and negative things with all of them. Yeah, I see some of the traders, day traders, and all that. They just make, when they are wealthy, they just create their own platform.
yeah, and I totally get that, because to be
Yeah,
honest, I still contemplate learning to code better and
yeah,
just building my own kind of thing. But then
yeah,
you need access to data and all kinds of stuff. So,
yeah,
it is what it is.
yeah.
But what do you call it? Next one I'm in is SGHC.
Supergroup.
Yep. And this is one I'm actually still holding.
Yeah,
So
that looks good. When did you take this one? On Thursday or
no, I took this I think last week. This has been a
yeah,
longer one.
Tuesday or Wednesday maybe?
Yeah, whatever that first candle is there.
Yeah,
Because it had kind of broken out of that range.
yeah.
But
This looks
That's what I'm
good.
saying. Like there is swing trades happening, and I'd like to point out because people are probably like, oh, how are you down 4% when these all look so good? Well, because there's a lot of ones that I picked that didn't work out.
Yeah.
So, it's all good to show the easy winners after everything's settled. There is a bunch that did not work out.
Yeah.
So, which is like I said, that's why I'm focusing on keeping the stop losses and trying to see if I can let these names run. And that's another thing too is you know you see that chart pattern pretty often. Something pops for a few days and then it pulls back and then runs sideways for a little bit before it starts to edge back up. I mean, it's rare you get these ones that just run up for a while. So it kind of sucks because you take some off the table and then you're holding a position that seems to go down for a little bit. And then if you can make it through that first like week or two where it's kind of bobbling around down below where you had sold at, if you can catch that next wave, you get to catch the whole thing, with a 50% of my original position left still.
Yeah.
So it might be that these trailing ones that they might last for a couple weeks to a month, those ones might end up being really big winners. It's just it hasn't kicked in yet. So
Yeah.
I'm still holding on to them. I don't want to change the strategy away from using the 10-day right now, but
No,
we'll
I
have to
think
see. It's
I think this chart looks really good, and if you are in it from, you could even, if maybe some people bought this on Friday, 6th of June, would be even better on that breakout after the consolidation, which it also got a little bit tight here, but
right.
you got it, a little bit later, and if you are in this, I think just hold it till it starts to act different.
Yeah.
This reminds me a little
Another
bit of Cecil and that who just keeps going.
yes. So
And you can
let's
see the
just keep
volume.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the volume looks good.
Yeah.
And actually similar if you look at TTMI, that's
Yeah, I
my other
know.
position here.
Yeah.
This is another one. Chart looks pretty similar.
Yeah.
Really strong volume for the past, I don't know, month.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. And it all kicks off with a good earnings report.
Yeah, I mean, there's always something that causes these things. It's either some kind of narrative. It's super rare that there's just nothing going on, and usually, if there's nothing going on, too, it doesn't last. You know what I mean? Like it's just like kind of a random momentum rally.
Yeah.
But and this is even like a huge market cap, so this isn't one I normally would take.
No. But
But just
3.61 ADR in my set here. So, it's still good for a big company.
right, and I think that's even though like you said, that's not necessarily the names to be going after. Um, there's I'm not going to ignore some of these. Some of these I'm still
No.
going to take if I'm able to get in at the right time.
Yeah, I agree. And that's one part I have been thinking about now that I have changed the broker and everything. Like I've tried to look up, look for a little bit to open up the style a little bit, to look for maybe a bit higher market cap, slower movers, just stuff like that. I just want to see and try to find a style that I believe in. You know, um, I think it is good to have more things to how do you say, to play on, that you can use.
Yeah, and I mean, there's the coming out of that last chunk where everything had fallen so much. Like, number one, I'm still relatively new to doing all this in terms of swing trading, and number two, I still feel like I have to experiment a little bit, just to kind of solidify things in my own mind. Like, does this work? Does this not work? Is this worth it? Should I be only looking at these names in these categories versus other things? And the more you're kind of doing all that, um, the better the like overall opinion you have of things, and you kind of know quickly when you see something if it's not going to work out, most likely, and you know how to just pass on things.
Yeah.
So, um, I mean, I feel like my real goal at this point is to stay below companies that are like around like 2 billion, just because I mean, if you look at most of the really big movers, they're usually sub 1 billion.
Yeah.
Um, Not to say you can't get stuff above that, but it's just less. And as always with everything, uh, if you're going to be kind of taking different picks, if you're consistently looking in stuff that's going to move a little bit less than other names, you're just setting yourself up statistically to fail.
That part is very similar in what we did in deep value. That is like almost you kind of almost copied what we look at in terms of market cap.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's why, bigger people say it's a lot harder to, and I'm talking institutions, not big people. Um,
Yeah.
it's harder for them to find companies, that are going to reliably produce results. Like it kind of gives like credence to like Buffett, like, even at his size, he's able to pick just one or two big companies, but he just predicts their outcome to be so favorable, and their current um business to remain profitable. He's just good at picking those out, and that's kind of the trick. And once you get to a really large size, but while you're just a retail investor, like every name's open to you, and you can go into stuff that people don't look at, and um, there's still a lot of trades or investments that you can find in those areas.
Yeah.
And then the last two of the week that I took were I took Wisdom Tree, and this was I took on Wednesday.
What is that though? What is the ticker?
WT.
WT. Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah,
And
that
I mean,
looks nice.
it had just moved sideways for a sec, and then it started to pop, and I was able to get in low enough. On Friday, it actually had broken out from the previous 52-week high, or not Friday, Thursday.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping this one can continue to push higher. I mean, we'll see where it goes from here. But
Yeah.
another name with a great chart. A lot of these charts that are just kind of parabolically moving up
Yeah,
are
that
some of the
looks great.
strongest names right now.
Yeah. And you see this
So
pattern, they all have it, like from February to, let's say, May, you get that W, and the second part of the W is further down than the first part, and then just straight bounce back. And all the leaders, if you look at the Tesla and all that, you see the same kind of pattern here, and they just bounce straight back and has kept going. So
yeah, and then the other thing too is like, there's so much index investing right now too, that as these names start to recover, it pushes a lot of the passive investments, like the stuff that goes in automatically, they come in at the next day, because they have to start to adjust the position sizes of these things as they grow.
yeah,
So you're not only getting like some of the retail, and I'm sure there's someone accumulating here, but then you get all the institutional and index stuff start to pour into it. And these names can just run because there's just not enough supply in these
yeah,
names.
yeah.
One thing
And
I really need to start to do again, and I was doing this, is have up the share count and the share float,
oh yeah,
because if you really want names that pop, the smaller that float, if you it doesn't take much volume pressure to break these things out. So that's really something I don't have listed well, that I really need to get from something somewhere, so I can start paying attention to that, because I feel like there'd be a huge correlation to that between stuff that really pops. Now, obviously, this leads into the same thing like we were talking about with ADR, like stocks that have lower float are going to have higher ADRs, which you can get stopped out on those often too,
yeah,
but you can get stopped out on anything. So,
yeah. I have added in my script here. I added average dollar volume back. I used to have it and took it off, but I added it back now. So
yeah, a lot of that stuff's just good for context.
yeah.
And
But I
then
really like this
lastly,
chart WT, and a pretty good pickup in volume since 18th of June as well.
yeah, I think that's so. When I took it, because it had already had that bounce up and then had moved sideways for a little bit,
Yeah.
It was really the fact that the volume to me is just super strong right here
Yeah,
that
it is.
like kind of gave me the confidence to stay with this one because
Yeah.
I looked at it and I was like, oh, I had already had that big move. Um, but I was able to get in at a good percent there. So I was
Yeah.
like, I'll take it. So
I think your entry position here, if you scroll out a little bit, and like you said, it took out the previous, high. I think I
right.
scrolled back here. It hasn't been this high since 2017. So this can move forward, and I think if it does, you will see that maybe you came in early.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. I like
Yeah.
to think that, which that's why a lot of these names, like I said, I feel like all this stuff is coming back so strong. That's why I'm kind of happy to start doing the 10-day moving average.
Yeah.
Um, and Q says that he's like, you do this all year, and there's going to be like 2 or 3 names that you just nail on that 10-day moving average,
Yeah.
and he's like, that's literally going to make most of your return for the year.
Yeah.
So I just think it's important to just kind of keep that in mind that, a lot of these you're going to sell after a few days and then that other half isn't going to really do much. But
Yeah.
for every one of the ones that does run up another 100% or something like that, it's going to make a huge difference for the portfolio.
Yeah. And have
So,
you trimmed on this yet, or
no, that
no?
one's, that one, like I said, I've only held it for like 2 days now. So,
Yeah.
we'll
What are
see what
your
it does. We'll see
thoughts?
what it does Monday.
Yeah, because we talked about the tariffs coming up and stuff like that. What are your thoughts like holding into that period now? Are you gonna is that gonna affect your strategy a little bit for the next week?
I'm gonna stick with my 10-day moving average. So, that might bite me because if the tariff news comes out and everything drops like a percent or two on those days, and I end up getting stopped out of with stuff, it is what it is. Um, but I'm not going to I'm not gonna assume anything because I I have a hard time believing, and I think the rest of the markets do, that these tariffs are gonna mean anything. I mean, you think about it, we had the tariffs going on, there was a possible like serious war that could break out, and the market moves down on the news, and then after like a week or two of everyone kind of digesting it, and then all of a sudden like nothing really comes from these things yet. I'm
They
not
even
saying the tariffs
started
can't
to.
have long-term consequences. They can, and not to say that the bombings in Iran and the retaliation and all that couldn't turn into something bigger. I don't know. So my thing is, when the whole Iran war was starting, uh I saw the markets drop a little bit. It makes you hesitant. But then I kept seeing money flow in, which made me immediately be
Yeah.
like, I don't think this is going to turn into anything,
Yeah.
because I've gotten to the point now where after watching the charts and the indexes, I almost feel like I can predict the news because if the indexes look up and, the news is telling me something terrible is going to happen, I'm like, no, it's not because I'm like, people wouldn't be putting their money into all this. Like there's a lot of people who are, all around the world who know what's going on, and if they're still putting their money where where their mouth's at, I don't believe what I'm being told until the money changes.
Yeah. No,
So
it's and you and I, we have been speaking about Bitcoin, right?
yeah,
To track Bitcoin also, and Bitcoin is at least right now it's holding up here. And I posted in the Discord that it looks very good around here, 110 and a half almost.
yeah. I mean it's pretty impressive that it's right where it is, and it's forming the next box right here. It does have a little bit lower low, but who knows? I mean, it could if it can break that high there, that high line.
Yeah, I think because we saw that wasn't it one day when there was like a lot of bad news and Bitcoin was still up. So we have started to look at it, and a lot of people do, I know that, but we've started to look at it like it just tracks the market right now, right?
Yeah, and because I like Bitcoin because the markets obviously are closed on weekends, but Bitcoin ain't.
It keeps
So
going. Yeah.
yeah, you can kind of use it as like a good pre-indicator for what the markets are thinking because anyone who's trading Bitcoin is, I mean, I feel like the only thing Bitcoin really trades on is every once in a while there's news that's super bullish for crypto in general, like the government changes laws or something like that, or another country adopts it as a currency, blah blah blah. So those are super bullish for them. But the other thing is, it's just people kind of they track with the indexes. So
Yeah.
the rest of the time, if Bitcoin's up, I'm kind of like, I guarantee you futures are up, and it's almost a
Yeah.
perfect correlation.
Yeah. It
So
has been.
it's one of those. And like I said, it's not perfect. Don't take that as investing advice. Like you can just assume that the indexes are going to do what Bitcoin did that day. But
No, and also to say like what we are saying about the tariffs news coming, and you saw also Bitcoin on Thursday, it tried to move up beyond that 110.5 mark, and it turned the other way around. So we have to wait and see still, but that can also be interpreted like a little bit of a bad signal, but it needs some few more days, I think. But things can always turn around, but definitely something to keep an eye on, I think.
yeah. Um,
And
and
if you
then
look at
the
the
only last,
SPX, it's just moving upwards.
yeah, I mean it's actually impressive now that we're breaking out. And I mean, I just looked. What is it? The S&P is up right now.
Yeah, it's up to 6,000 off for the year, you mean?
Yeah, but I'm just saying that the total return right now is 7.5%. I mean, that's kind of
Yeah,
incredible.
yeah,
For a while there, it looked like we were headed to a recession.
yeah,
not,
exactly.
not a decent year. I mean, 7.5%. That's
7 of
just
April.
shy of, yeah, that's just
Yeah,
shy of like a good average year. So,
yeah,
um, and then on top of that, though, regardless of what you think of the big beautiful bill, they just passed that. So,
yeah, I saw it.
that's one thing that's gonna, and if anything, you can argue that's bullish for markets. Um, I wouldn't be surprised even if when Trump comes out with his tariff comments that a lot of it's a lot lower. I know he still threatens from 10 to 70% for countries. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of it's 10 and 20%, like it's just he's throwing a tariff kind of across the board on everybody.
Yeah,
And but most of it's pretty low. I'm sure there's some countries he's going to stick with the 70 just to stick it to him.
yeah,
And I don't care about the politics, so I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying it's what I see him doing. But yeah, we'll see. And then if hostilities start to fade away in the Middle East, which I don't know. I don't know how you predict any of that, but
yeah.
we'll see.
There's a lot of things going on. But I keep in mind though, Mark Minervini, he wrote a tweet. I don't exactly remember, but it was a comment to someone who said like it's different this time, and he said like nonsense. It's not. It's just a different shape of the same thing that has occurred again and again in the past. So people, and
Yeah.
maybe through the inputs we get with all the information, and I know at least in USA people are very split and get the news from also very colored media houses. So it's people maybe think like things are much worse, and that I mean there has been a lot of stuff going on in the world in the past as well at the same time. I don't like everything that goes on right now. I wish they didn't and slow down a bit, because there's a lot of things that apparently to most people seem very meaningless. But I don't think it's anything drastically new.
No, I agree. And to your point, I think I don't know. Everything seems to get blown out of proportion. Good news seems to be really great news. Like it really brings stuff up, and bad news, um, when it's really bad, it can like overshoot it on the way down, and vice versa. So
And it does control a lot of things. So, but yeah. Did you see that company? Did you have one more ticker or
yeah, ZVRA.
CBRA?
Zebra?
V as in victory.
Okay. This one.
Yeah, that's the last one I
Did you
have.
take that on
But
Thursday?
yes, that was just a last second grab.
Yeah.
Which kind of the same thing. I saw kind of a box forming there, and also actually similar to the last one, it was a 52-week high.
Yeah.
And I know it's biotech, so you can kind of say whatever you want there, but I'm not really concerned with that.
No.
But one of the most common spikes I see, or at least charts I see right before a good breakout, is it has that like 3 or 4 day drop, and on that day where it finally hits like this one hit the lower Bollinger Band
Okay.
on what is that, Tuesday, and
Yeah.
then you see Wednesday is a strong recovery, and Thursday's strong, and it's all
Yeah.
buying. Like it starts at the low of the day, and it all works its way up. So it's just buyers keep coming in.
Yeah.
So that's another thing I keep seeing is not only do you see that consolidation box, but usually right before a breakout, you do see a pullback usually.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting to see all of this because I guess you can see the patterns you want in this one, but this is also like a W, right?
Yeah,
Where,
like I said, a lot of it's the same pattern, but that's the thing is like when I'm screening, before I used to have a way of kind of narrowing down some of the names, and then as it gets closer to um like something I'm going to take, I had a lot of indicators and stuff I would use to kind of get in on things. And now I don't have that because I'm not using Yahoo. So now as I screen for stuff, I just get kind of the tickers to come up and I have the charts and really I just have the charts to go off of kind of to make a quick decision.
yeah.
So because of that, it just takes me a second. But I thought, like I said, I thought towards the end of the week, my picks started to get a little bit better again, started to be like, charts and stuff I was happier with.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, it seems like if the long-term holds start to work out, those will slowly all just continue to creep up. So,
Yeah,
like I
exactly.
said, it stinks because that first week or two after you buy those, they tend to pull back usually, and you're kind of just waiting. But then they start to trickle up, and that's where you can catch them on the backside. So, um, for better or for worse, it kind of ties up capital for a little bit, but hopefully it's tying it up in a good way where it's going to be a net positive in the long run.
I mean, and if you sell half like you have done on some of these, you free up some capital at least. So it's a balance act, I think.
Yeah, and kind of with the way the churn's been working, now that I'm like kind of like invested, like it allows me to usually pick, 3 new positions a day, or kind of like in the back of my head, think like you got about 3 different ones you can try and go in on the day.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not buying something. I'm not like day trading it where like, don't get me wrong, if I get into something and get kicked right out and I really like it, I'll go back in on the same name, but
Yeah.
it's pretty rare. Um,
USEG.
You said, yeah, I'm not saying I don't do it because it's worked out.
Yeah.
So if I really like the chart, I'm happy to go right back in. But
What is USEG doing now?
I think it pulled
137.
Oh, did it hit the 137 mark?
Yeah, 137.
I actually meant to check that at the end of the day and I forgot.
Yeah.
I told you it was going to go back to 130s.
Yeah.
That makes me. I might reopen my position in USEG then.
I want it back to 120.
Yeah, same. I want it in the 20s, but I
Yeah.
also I wonder if it can push that far. I'm gonna look at
Yeah.
the 60-minute chart. Yeah, I mean it's trickling down nicely.
Yeah.
It's funny you watch it like when you're in a ticker like this and you watch it so well. I literally like I feel like you can just call it. You just know exactly what's going to happen with that chart.
And you know that bounce it got here. It's a miniature of the bounce we were in January.
Yes, and almost like it's not perfectly like the same, but it's damn close.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I knew as soon as I saw it bounce that morning on the oil news, I was like, "There's no way this is going to hold up." But I'm like, I'm definitely going to play this, and
What was the
I'll
other
take
one?
advantage.
Husa? What was that other one?
Husa was one that did it.
Yeah.
There was 3 or 4 of them. that were up. I can't remember what the other names were.
They're all dropping now.
Yeah.
I think you did the right thing there.
Yeah, and you know, I don't have many deep value names that I'm looking at right now. So USEG's one of those ones that, like, you know, I'm still bullish on the helium idea.
Yeah.
Not this is the same thing, but like my AC just broke, and I was looking at the price of what it costs to get nitrogen to refill your AC for coolant,
Yeah.
and it's like, you know, it's expensive. It's a couple $100 a pound. So these like different kind of gases and stuff that you can mine out, I mean, when they're in high demand, they become expensive.
Yeah.
So
I saw
I've used helium in the hospital a few times. We used to use it a little bit more just on a certain procedure, but
Yeah.
you know, I know there's a market there for it.
Yeah. I saw some talk about copper right now because of you know, so some of the electricity things that needs copper lines and stuff like that. And I saw some. There are a few interesting names, I think, in copper.
Yeah, I mean, even the metals company, that's one that I tried to get in so many times and I never did, and now it's just killing it. And I'm some
Yeah.
of the times things just drive me nuts with that kind of thing. But it's all good.
Yeah. If you look at I have the copper group here. They all seems maybe they need a bit of a consolidation period, but except this one, MTAL looks.
TGB is another really good one.
Yeah, TGB was next on my list, and IE, ERO, HBM. They all look. HBM looks strong.
Yeah, it's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Did you see that? Did you see that the OST? Have a look at OST.
Yeah, I was in OST. Oh wow, I didn't see that. No. Wow, I'm glad I wasn't in that at the end there.
Yeah. So this was
What happened there? That
it's like a fraud company in China.
oh, I've gotten really lucky on not getting killed on those.
Did you get in here on 7th of May or something, or what?
I rode some of that ride up wherever that
Yeah.
was in there. I was in on that. I was on the stream that you know
Yeah.
what times I was in it. I don't remember exactly what part of that move, but and I made good money on that one, whatever it was.
Yeah.
That was that. Oh, you know what? Remember when I had the great week with USEG and the one of the days before it was like the Tuesday before USEG took off.
Yeah.
I had a really good day. I had like a 10% move, and OST was one of the names that I nailed. So
Okay. But look at it goes from 9.41 to 50 cents.
which is why if you don't use stop losses, you are out of your damn mind.
I think this
Always have a stop loss.
I think this got halted multiple times on the way down.
Oh, I'm sure that day was pretty wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, it literally went from I just pulled up the 60 min chart. It went down 10%, and then it halted for it looks like an hour, and then in the next hour dropped 94%.
Yeah. Well, probably something to study, like this type of chart, so you don't get on the wrong side here.
Yeah, I mean it's wild. It literally someone sold a volume of 21 million shares, and then in the next hour they sold 25 million shares.
Yeah.
and then 36 million shares. And I'm talking in the hours, not this isn't a daily chart. This is just each hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely brutal.
Yeah, that you know,
Yeah, use a stop loss.
if you look at the chart also, it has a lot of these spikes down. If
So
you
we
look
just
at the
lost a
hour,
viewer. He must have been in it.
huh?
So we just lost a viewer, right? We were talking about that. I'm like, he must have been in this one.
Yeah. Oh, but the you know, I was in Alto overnight, fell 60%.
Ugh, I was in BNED when it fell.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it was.
Mm.
It was enough that it hurt.
Yeah. If you look at the 5-minute on OST day, and you see this, you see it has on the way up, for a long time it has these red spikes down, and then it just quickly bounces back, right, and keeps going
Mhm.
up. It just seems like a little bit of a funny pattern. Yeah, it's this is why you need to, spend a lot of time so you don't get trapped in something like this.
Well, it's a couple of different things, you can help yourself out by not taking too large of a position in any
Yeah.
one name, because you put too much in a name like this, and it looks great on paper to ride something up with a huge position, but trust me from personal experience, you can also really get murdered by putting too much into one thing. So but other than that, well, I'm glad you pointed out USAG. I'll probably start to seriously watch that now.
Yeah.
And then I
Building
mean
another.
that's everything I got. You got anything else that you want to add for the day?
Yeah, no, I don't. Like I said, I've just been looking at some, different names. But also, like I said, I'm gonna probably you're gonna probably see me look at a few different things that I've been avoiding so far in terms of market cap and stuff like that. I'm probably gonna just check, a little bit of bigger move market cap stocks. Um, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not gonna do things too different, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna pull back my screeners maybe to. I think I'm gonna look at just stuff that's under 2 billion.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I hesitate not to do that too, just because some of the names I've gone in that are over that have done well.
Yeah, that's what I've seen also, and for also longer term holds. Even if you look at Netflix, and you can argue on Netflix, you could have taken it on 24th of April.
Yeah. No, I mean,
It's
it's
still
just
just a 20. It's just a 20% move, but I mean, if you then size a little bit heavier on something like this, maybe you will see quickly that you are pretty you get quickly a caution that you can raise the stop to a break even point and be pretty safe in this one if you time it correctly, your entry.
right.
But
No, and
it's also the context. This is this is probably like something you will call a leader that bounces off after a correction in the market and just shows strength. It will give you a bit more confidence maybe to put a little bit of a bigger size into something like this. But it's too late now, of course. But it's just something I want to look at a little bit closer moving forward, I think.
Yeah,
I mean,
my only problem with that is like, Netflix is a good example, but if you look at the top companies, just a lot of them don't move. Not
yeah,
like
they
what I'm
don't
looking
move a
for.
lot, but after a correction, maybe, you know,
Right.
these are the ones you want to, yeah. I don't know. In general, I've seen, you know, banks, stuff like that. Banks and semiconductors, they are doing pretty well for a long time now.
Yeah, and that's I'll hopefully capture some of the bigger moves on some of those names by
Yeah,
using the 10-day MA.
yeah,
I'll go back. I've looked at possibly using the 20. And with a few names that works out really well, but most names not. So I'm still trying to, hone in on what makes sense there on when I would possibly use a 20 versus a 10.
yeah. I just saw before we went on today, IREN. It's way too extended now and on the way up, but maybe put it on a watch list and look for a consolidation period. Because look at that volume coming in here, just consistent volume, pushing the
Right.
price really really strong, and this is also, this has some fundamentals behind it to back up a move like that, you know. So just give it some time and see if it moves sideways for a bit, and maybe you can get catch the next leg.
Yeah, and now you just bringing that up. That's another one I want to focus on is I want to work on coming up with a screener that's specifically looking for areas of consolidation.
Yeah,
'Cause in my mind, I can come up with some practical ways of doing it.
yeah.
All right, well, I think I'm gonna get going just because get ready for the day here.
Yeah, all good. We are at the 1 hour and 20 minutes, so it's fairly normal. Hopefully,
All
I
right,
can
everybody.
move into the week doing some trades, you know, this week. So next stream will be hopefully for myself a little bit more that I've done some action, you know.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure you'll hop right back. We'll see. We'll see if the markets hold up. But
Yeah, because that's another thing. Like with the tariffs, I kind of want to maybe sit on the sideline a bit till that settles. But yeah, let's see what happens.
yeah, I mean, if everything starts falling,
Yeah,
probably put the
would be
brakes
so
on for a little
typical.
bit. But yes, but and that's that's the other thing too is like I said the same thing last year is when you do have that good week, making sure that you're not going too crazy afterwards. Which I know I'm down, but like I don't think I've done anything too crazy. I some of my things in hindsight, I remember lessons from before, and you just kind of forget things if you haven't done it in a minute. And it's just kind of a bad timing because for it seemed like 3-4 months we weren't really doing a whole lot in terms of swing trading.
Yeah,
So, but every time you come back to it, those ideas get more solidified. So
yeah.
I'm just gonna focus on that now.
And I think it doesn't seem like you have broken a lot of rules and stuff like that. Maybe with the stop loss, but at the same time, I think how can you improve if you don't test things, you know? It's
Yeah, and
one thing is to listen to other people who has done it, but to put your own money at risk and experience it yourself is the best way to learn and reflect. And I know I was going to say it earlier when you talked about it. It's the part with where you set the stop loss is very tricky in my opinion, because you hear very successful people, even Minarvini and David Ryan, they operate with a 7-8% stop loss, but their average is much smaller. It's like 2.5 to 3%. So yeah, it's tricky.
yeah, I mean, this is one thing too. If I was able to sit here and watch, like I put my stop loss in because, you know, I can't always be watching 24/7. So I
No.
want to make sure it triggers.
Yeah.
So if I didn't have to put it in where I know a machine can quickly be like, oh, there's a spot I can steal this cash from this person, you know, it can do that. There's nothing I can really do about it. If I was sitting
Yeah.
there watching, I wouldn't be putting these numbers in. I'd be waiting. If it does go below it, I would just take the hit,
Yeah.
and sell, you know, manually. But you know, it's just part of, you know, being able to do it. And as I get to a point where I could sit there and do this all day during the week, it will change, and I'll definitely take that on.
Yeah.
And then I'll be more apt to probably manually adjust the stop loss on where it is based on, you know, not necessarily like a 1 day or a 2 day rule, but more just on a feel thing because I'm watching everything so closely.
Yeah.
But until you get to that point where, you know, it's a full-time job, it's tough to do.
Yeah, it's very. And if you listen to interviews of people who have work besides doing stocks and swing trading, they all say like you need to put in stop losses to so you don't come home after work and you see you're down 40% or more, you know, because that
Right.
happens. Yeah.
Yeah, if you own OST.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. All
But
right.
all right, well, hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Yeah, same to you and everyone else. And we will be back next weekend, probably, right?
Yeah, I should be able to do next weekend. I shouldn't have any issues.
Yeah. And then we are closer to the tariff things, and we can see if it has some big effect like last time or not. You know, people started to make a little bit fun of the strategy and him, you know, last time. So, like you said earlier, maybe it won't affect the market too much, but hard to say.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone's taking it too seriously just yet. Not to say it can't happen and not to take it seriously. I don't know. I'm just saying like I just don't see it yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all right, everybody, have a good one.
Yeah. See ya.